He's purchased us through the work of His Son, Jesus Christ. He's redeemed us. But beyond that, He doesn't just redeem us and walk away. Because He says, you know something? I know you by name. Think about that. God knows you by name, and you are His. What an assurance that is. How many times have we as a child, maybe we learned in situations and circumstances when we've been afraid and alone. And has there been a time when one of our parents come to us and just simply say our name? And all of a sudden we feel that safety, that security, because of a caring and loving parent. He knows us by name. We're His. Fear not. Fear not. And it's important because He says here, you might notice there are some words here that go along with that opening hymn that we sang. There are words that come from this. And why fear not? He says, because when you go through the waters, I'm going to be with you. In other words, when you go through life and you seem like you're just in over your head, when you just seems like you're drowning and can't even tread water, I'm going to be with you. And I'll make sure it doesn't get to that point. He says when you go through the rivers, they're not going to overwhelm you. In other words, if you've ever been through a strong river, we've been canoeing over the years, and sometimes those currents are pretty strong. They just want to knock you off your feet. You know, sometimes life just wants to knock us off our feet. And Jesus says, you know, when those rivers rage and you're at the point where you're ready to be knocked off your feet, I'm going to be there. And I'll hold you up. Because I know you by name and I care for you. And when you go through the fire, sometimes it feels like we're going through the fire. We're just going to get burned. But He said, I'm going to be there. And those fires will not consume you. Listen. Listen and fear not. Fear not. And then He gives us two more words. Because He says, I am. I am the Lord your God. Those are two powerful words of Scripture. And immediately goes to the incident of Egypt. Mentions Egypt in there. And that's kind of where we really get a lot of impact from that when Moses was there in the desert in that burning bush. And he asked God, he says, who am I going to say sent me? Who am I going to tell these people who are sending me to deliver them? Who am I going to tell Pharaoh? And God says, tell them I am. I am who I am. Interesting words there. You know, as we look at that, what it means. I am. But what's that mean? What's it mean? That word is connected in the Hebrew for verbs to be, to become, to happen, to make happen. And that's an interesting term because that term I am, we have to think of it in kind of a time continuum perspective. Because you see, really what that means is God's saying really a couple of things at once. He's saying, I am the God of the past. In other words, I'm the God who was with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all your forefathers and all the people that have brought you this far. I'm the one that's been working in their lives, that have been active in the world and in life. I'm the God of the past. But He said, I'm also the God of the present. I'm here. I'm now. In other words, God's saying, I'm what's happening. I'm what's happening now. I'm here. I'm in your presence. And you're in mine. And I'm active. But He also says, I'm the God of the future. You know, the perspective here, past, present, and future. We don't know what the future holds, but God says, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there in that future. That I am your God. And we see that word I am being used in Scripture time and time again. It's a word of action. We don't have a passive God. We have an active God. The God of action. Who is always there for us and with us. And that's so important, especially when we face those times of crisis. You know, in the Old Testament, God told people, be still and know that I am God. And sometimes when things get difficult, we need to stop and be still and know that He that same God, when the person of Christ calmed those winds and healed that leper, the one who said, be made whole, be made clean, and be still. And be still calms the storms. That brings healing to our hearts and to our